Mr. President, Commissioners, thank you very much. I ask that we put this on for maybe just review or discussion. I had the opportunity to meet with the Downtown Association staff and the president just before Christmas, and we talked about some projects that they would like to move forward at some point in time. And after we had that discussion, the tenor of the meeting changed to where I was informed of how crappy we run the city, and wasn't going to say much about it until I saw an interview with the president in the whatever magazine or paper this is nowadays, the Great Plains Examiner, and I took great offense, quite frankly. And so I thought it would be appropriate maybe to educate some individuals. In the article, the title was "Wanted, a Vision for Downtown Bismarck." That in itself offended me because of my knowledge of how hard you will all work and how hard the staff works. In fact, Jason, about 40% of his time is dedicated to downtown, and he works very hard. We go on about how there's no upkeep. You look at downtown, it's a joke. The way we help downtown is outdated. We don't need to give tax breaks. Apparently, we don't need to do core or Renaissance zone anymore. I probably could have that discussion at some point in time. Basic infrastructure downtown has been ignored. The streets, the sidewalks, the curbs are all neglected. He worries that our priorities are so screwed up that the bars and restaurants that we're approving might go out of business. There has to be reinvestment in downtown. And he mentions his roads and sidewalks again. Then he mentions the snow. And then he warns us about we need to do our job. And so I just thought it'd be appropriate to cover a couple things. First of all, this map represents the entire area where we have policies and issues that come before us in the staff, and we have to make decisions. This little green spot is downtown, where we have Renaissance Zone and core and all of that important stuff. And it's important to us. It's in the strategic plan. It's in MEDAG. And we take that very seriously. But what might not be known is that in the MEDAG meetings in 2008, 2009, we had a very specific downtown focus. We talked at great length about the importance of downtown, about Renaissance Zone, about the core. We even talked about having Bismarck-Mandan Development Association dedicate time and staff to help move downtown forward because its importance to our community. For whatever reason, they opted not to do that, despite the fact we give them $400,000 a year. I don't know why. And then we had work on the original downtown redevelopment plan started. Shortly after the plan was accepted from MEDAG 2009, then we had the flood. And then before that could be issued, we were sued. And for 2 years, we couldn't move forward on a lot of important issues for our city. And then we had another flood. Well, after we got through that flood, and after the lawsuit finally ended, we issued the Bismarck Growth Management Plan, which we spent $150,000. That's for all of this. Recently, we just awarded the Bismarck Downtown Redevelopment Plan $350,000 for this little green spot. And there are about, 350, 400 businesses down in that green spot. There are about 3,500 in the city. The downtowners have about half of those, so they represent a very small percentage. But most importantly, I did some checking about what it would cost to repair the infrastructure that there was a lot of heartburn over. And I didn't know this. Just like when they repair the curb or sidewalk or street in my house, I pay for that, you do it too. so would the downtown have to pay for it. So if you would like us to move forward and repair all that, it's going to cost about $7 million. That doesn't include the curb. That doesn't include the sidewalk. It doesn't include the plaza that you'd like to have, which that's another discussion for another time. Snow removal, there are about 11 miles of streets in downtown Bismarck, which you're complaining about that we don't move the snow quickly enough. There's 350 miles of streets in the city. So that represents about 3.6% of the streets. And we move the snow very effectively in our city at all weird hours of the day. So I guess what I'm trying to say, Commissioners, I took great offense to this so inappropriate representation of what this commission does and what this city does for a very small portion of our city. Important one. We like downtown. In fact, every city official says, I'm for downtown. I am for downtown. I like downtown. But I take great offense to the lack of appreciation. And so when I call this downtown infrastructure, I don't know if you want to vote on, billing them $9 million to repair the streets, even though we're going to do the growth management plan, maybe bill them now. So, but I guess that's kind of silly because we just had an assessment of our streets, and our streets are in pretty darn good condition. So maybe what the downtowners should do is quickly form a business improvement district, and some of the stuff that's so important to you, you can fix and pay for yourself. And I just wanted to throw that out because I took great offense to the comments, and I kind of had your back, Commissioners, Mayor, Department, because I know how hard all of you work. Thank you.
Commissioner Grossman.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I do want to say I was deeply disappointed in the critical nature of the article. I was never contacted about any of those particular issues. I feel like we as a commission and including the city staff, as Commissioner Seminary pointed out, have spent a great deal of time on trying to improve our downtown, supporting the core, supporting the Renaissance zone projects, et cetera. I think it's been a huge focus for this commission, and I think really for all of us. So I do want to say that I was deeply disappointed by sort of the lack of appreciation and what I thought was a mischaracterization of the City Commission's focus on downtown and commitment to downtown.
I'd like to thank Commissioner Seminary for bringing those comments. He stated it much more eloquently than I could, but I too read the article, felt that it was inappropriate, and I hope that the writer, after he looked at it, would reconsider what his thoughts are with regard to the City Commission. Commissioner Asvig.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioner Seminary. Thanks for your comments. I'll just state it this way, which is if you read right below that, obviously, I was asked by the writer for my comments. And if you read my comments, they're obviously a little bland because, quite frankly, I had to respond to that pretty much on a moment's notice right then. And I just happened to have the good fortune of having lunch with that individual right after I had found out about this. And so I can't repeat everything I said at that meeting, but I also made it clear that, if you want to have those discussions, I think people are willing to have some of those discussions. But by and large, at least my experience, and anyone who's worked with me will tell you that come and talk to us first, and that we'd be happy to at least have a discussion about it rather than spring it this way. And that we pride ourselves, and I believe it true, to be a very open commission, and that we're willing to have some discussions, but that we at least need to know about it first. And so appreciate Commissioner Seminary bringing it up, and simply say that I hope that it doesn't roll over into other things, and that if there are some suggestions for changes or some deletions or additions, that they bring them to us so we can have the appropriate public discussion and not fight it through ink, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Commissioner Smith?
I would also like to thank Commissioner Seminary for doing that. I think we have all had a pretty open door policy working with the downtown, and I think we've just tonight talking about the Civic Center and what we can do to make the Civic Center an important part of our downtown. So, I hope that they will look at the positive things that are happening downtown as well.
Thank you. Please come forward.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. And I kind of had a feeling this is what the agenda item was about when I sat on there and we asked for some clarification so we could be prepared. Just kind of one note of clarification. I also kind of saw this sort of come across my email. And this is not really the view of the downtowners, and we've asked the writer or Mr. Zimmerman to remove his title as president of the downtowners in that article because I don't think it really represents what our board and membership feels. We try to not limit our business members from having their own opinions. At the same time, we'd like them to represent the board well and kind of what the consensus is of our membership. And so that's why we asked him to not use his title as the president of the Downtowners Association. We're very much in support of the Renaissance Zone and core programs. I also think it was an inappropriate article and did not really represent our membership. As Jason knows, like community development knows, and what we've conveyed to Mr. Zimmerman is that I think Jason maybe like a year ago did some property owner calls and meetings, and most everybody was pretty supportive of the Core and Renaissance program, even people who don't use it. And so we had this clarification with him as well about what the feelings of the majority of the membership are and what his feelings are in general. And so I want to throw him under the bus, and he's obviously entitled to his own opinion. However, that's why we asked him to remove his affiliation with the association in that interview. Again, we know he's kind of a seminal figure downtown, and he'll still be attached with our membership and has done good things, but I think that was not the way to do it. And again, that's why we asked him to remove that title, because we just do not feel it represents kind of the opinion of the membership. So he can speak as a business owner, but I agree with all the comments that you've made so far. So, and I hope we can continue to work together. Again, sometimes it's tough for us to separate. Sometimes it's tough to get consensus amongst so many people, but again, I think there is a lot of consensus about the support of the programs in the city. We work really well with Jason and appreciate his time. Hopefully, moving forward, we can do things in a better way. And again, this is something that we saw come across our desk and made suggestions to remove ourselves from that. But I'd be happy to answer any questions or anything like that. Sure.
Commissioner.
Figure downtown, and he'll still be attached with our membership and has done good things, but I think that was not the way to do it. And again, that's why we asked him to remove that title, because we just do not feel it represents kind of the opinion of the membership. So he can speak as a business owner, but I agree with all the comments that you've made so far. So, and I hope we can continue to work together. Again, sometimes it's tough for us to separate. Sometimes it's tough to get consensus amongst so many people, but again, I think there is a lot of consensus about the support of the programs in the city. We work really well with Jason and appreciate his time. Hopefully, moving forward, we can do things in a better way. And again, this is something that we saw come across our desk and made suggestions to remove ourselves from that. But I'd be happy to answer any questions or anything like that. Sure.
Commissioner Grossman.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you, Kate. It's never easy to take the flak for somebody else's comments or a mistake, and we appreciate it. And I do want to tell you I will continue to support downtown and work for downtown, as I'm sure we all were. But I thought it was something that needed to be said, but I appreciate you being here tonight to address the concerns.
Yeah, thanks for coming, Kate. When I was first elected, there were 0 Renaissance Zone projects, and the downtown was floundering, to say the least, and there have been now over 100. If you look at the millions of dollars that came just from that one program, the employment, and our downtown is on the cusp of greatness if it hasn't already achieved greatness.
Sure.
And so you have my commitment that I'll continue to move forward to the vibrancy of the community comes from the downtown. That's the heart and soul of the community, and it's important, even though it's a small area and we represent the entire community. It's important that we, continue what we're doing in the downtown. It seems to work well.
Thank you,
Commissioner Seminary.
Mr. President, Commissioners, thank you. Kate, for the record, I have voted against one Renaissance Zone program, and it's because they didn't show up. I think when you have your hand out, you should show up. I just want to make sure that there's a clear understanding that when it comes to snow removal, when it comes to streets, when it comes to sidewalks, you got to pay for that just like everybody else. And sometimes we have a tendency to have, there's almost a tail wagging the dog in this deal. Downtown is important. This is a big responsibility for every department head, every staff member, every commissioner, every board member that is on Renaissance Zone Authority, Parking Authority, all of that. And downtown's important. We're spending $350,000 to talk about how important it is. We're spending $150,000 for the entire growth management plan. And there will be times I'm probably going to take a different approach because it's a big city. Downtown's important, but it's a big city. And thank you for coming up tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith.
Kate, I want to thank you, too, for coming up. I know this wasn't easy, but as you know, the Renaissance Zone falls under my portfolio, and it is a great program. And sitting on the Renaissance Zone Authority and seeing even the 2 new projects that came in tonight, there are great things happening downtown. I want to continue to do that in a positive manner.
Yeah, and thanks for giving me the opportunity. I know it's not a public hearing, but again, I just kind of wanted to clarify. We try and find as much consensus as we can, and when it doesn't represent the consensus of our members, then we ask that's they're just kind of speaking as a business member and not a member of the association. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, I do want to say one other thing, is that to every other business owner in the city that isn't downtown, and sometimes you're at a disadvantage because every time we talk about how cool downtown is, downtown gets free marketing, and you don't. And I think about that all the time. I think about that all of the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Okay, Commissioners, anything else? Let's move on.